Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we'd like to seek the blessings of Krishna Balaram, Shyam Sundar, Radha Madhav, Gaurita, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, so, and assembled devotees. We wanted to talk about the journey of the soul, because this is the period of Sraddha. Sraddha is important because we can help our ancestors. When somebody passes away, there's very little we can do because the soul is gone. But there is a description in the Garud Purana that we can do something for the departed soul. But before we get to the departure, I wanted to do the journey of the soul first, a little bit more explanation as to the journey in the spiritual world. So, this is the Bhagavad Gita, 8th text, 8th chapter, 16th text. Brahma Bhuvanaloka Punar Avartino Arjun Mamupetyatu Kaunteya Punajanmana Vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So we have to understand in this material world, whether we are an ant or Brahma, is still a place of misery. And why is that? Because of this thing here, birth and death. But birth and death. Because we have to change our position when the soul leaves the body. There's a hard stop. Whatever we're doing, it comes to an end. We have to start all over again. And that's why this world is full of misery, because there's no permanence to the situation that we're in. There's no permanent happiness. However, one, as explained here, who attains to the abode of the Lord, never takes birth again. How do you do that? Janma karma cha me devya me evam yoviti tattataha tapta punah deha punam janma naityamam so iti so Arjun. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. So this is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. I know the couple of verses before, he says, Yada idai dharmasya, why he comes to this world, to protect the devotees and destroy the demons. But actually, text number 9 of chapter 4 is the real reason how he comes. To take us back to the spiritual world. Yes, he comes here to protect and destroy. But the real reason he comes is he wants us back in the spiritual world. That's what he wants. So, from the spiritual world, how did we come here? The spirit soul is in its pure state, eternally residing in the spiritual world, in association with the Supreme Lord and his associates. Most spirit souls serve the Lord in a complete harmony. So it's described by Srila Prabhupada that 75% live in the spiritual world, 25%, maybe even less of the souls live in this material world. A small minority of souls feel some envy towards the Lord and wonder what it is like to be worshipped. The Lord fulfills the desires of the soul, creates the material world in order to allow the soul to experience the opportunity to try to become the Lord of everything he surveys, and thus tries to attain happiness. So he gives us this option in this material world to find that happiness we're looking for, but away from the Lord. And we know that's not going to give us real happiness. However, this world is perfectly imperfect. And no matter how hard we try, happiness will always delude the soul, because we are eternal beings trying to enjoy in an impermanent world. And this is an incompatible position, right? So we're eternal, but we're trying to enjoy in a temporary world. Just like fish out of water, right? In water is happy. Take it out of the water, it becomes very unhappy, struggling. So we're a little bit like that. Fish we're like the soul out of the spiritual into the material world. So what is this? What is the journey of the soul from the spiritual world like? So this is an idea of the sort of entire creation, including the spiritual material worlds. So we have this Golok, Vrindavan, or Ayodhya, Haridham, this whole part of the spiritual world. Then we have the Brahman effulgence, which is also part of the spiritual world. Then we have Lord Shiva's abode, Mahesh Dham. Then we have Devi Dham, which is the material world. This is where we sink down into when we want to enjoy separately from the Supreme Lord. And this material world is situated in the northeast corner, round about here, of the spiritual world. And it's a very small part of the whole creation. Of course, this diagram shows it a little bit disproportionately because it's the nature of the diagram. And this is the material world. We've seen this many, many times. From Garbhodaksha Vishnu comes a lotus on top of which sitting Lord Brahma, self-manifested. But he is a jiva, just like you and me, who assist the Lord in creating the material world. So, how does the soul descend into the spiritual world, from the spiritual world, actually? As the soul is coming directly from the spiritual world, he is very potent, very powerful. He may be appointed to the post of Brahma, who is the secondary creator of this material world. Generally, from the post of Brahma, due to the pride, the living entity glides down into the lower levels of material life. So as Brahma, one is in control, one is in charge, great opulence. You're in charge of the whole material world, or at least that one universe. So the Brahma may become proud that he is the creator. That pride will glide, eventually make that soul glide down into the lower levels of material life. Now, our Lord Brahma in charge of our universe, is actually going in the right direction because he's a pure devotee. The living entity continues in the material world, getting different material bodies according to its karma, desires, and consciousness. So those are the three factors. Our karma, what have we done in the past? Desires, what do we want to achieve? And our consciousness, where is our state of mind? And according to those three, we go up and down from the animal life into human life, into demigod life, then back down again. Continue like a yo-yo. When one attains the human form of life, then it gets the best opportunity to regain its original consciousness through engaging in bhakti to the Lord and re-establishing the relationship with God and return back home, back to Godhead. Now, this is the point about consciousness. When one is in the consciousness of showing off one's body, then one is behaving like a tree. A tree show off its body for hundreds and thousands of years. So maybe in the next life, one gets the body of a tree. One likes to eat meat. Then maybe in the next life, God will give a body which will facilitate the eating of meat very easily. Body of a tiger. One likes to sleep a lot. Then maybe one gets this opportunity of a body of a bear. sleep 6 months of the year. One likes to eat anything and everything. One may get the body of a pig, fulfill the desire to eat, to satisfy the tongue. Now, of course, these are all not good states of consciousness to be in. So, if the soul does not cultivate spiritual desire, it will only have material desires, which can be fulfilled through a material body. That's the point. If we have spiritual desires, of course, that's going to take us back to the spiritual world. But if we only have material desires, then we can only continue to stay in the material world. Throughout this life, we must prepare for our next body. Since we are all eternal spirit souls, we never die. But we must inhabit a body to fulfill our desires. So, yes, we are eternal. But in order to fulfill the desires, we will inhabit a body, fulfill our material desires. Whatever desires we cultivate and act on in this life, together with the level of consciousness, prepares us for our next body. Because there are unlimited ways to live our life, there are unlimited possibilities for the next birth. Because the next birth is dependent on this life. Whatever consciousness we develop in this life will be present at the time of our death and will take us to the next birth. So this is quite important. Our consciousness at the end is going to determine our next birth. As well as karma and desires. There are heavenly and hellish destinations within this universe and spiritual destinations outside this universe. There is the unvariegated region within no activity. There are 8.4 lakh, so that's 8.4 million, different types of bodies according to mentality and consciousness within this universe. There are living entities on every planet with bodies suitable for the environment there. Once we leave our body, the decision is made by material nature. And although relatives and well-wishers left behind can have some influence over events, we don't have any ourselves. So the soul is snatched from the body, and the next life is out of its control. It's going to get it. Who might have an impact are the relatives and the well-wishers. We have all our chances to make choices in this life as a human being. And once this birth is over, we are simply in the system again. And the process is automatic without any consideration of our desires or pleas. In that way, it's a bit like a judicial and penal system in a country. Once you are arrested, you go to trial, and if convicted, you are sentenced. Regretting your criminal activity does not absolve you from guilt, nor does charitable work performed while under trial. You broke the law, you will be punished. The living entities in species lower than human beings, due to their lower understanding of metaphysical concepts and total lack of morality, aren't subject to this arrangement. Okay. So, karma doesn't impact those who, who are in the animal kingdom. A cat will eat a pigeon, but not suffer karmic reaction, because that's what he does. That's his. He doesn't have the ability to distinguish between right and wrong. He acts on instinct. And they simply take birth from one birth after another through the different species until they attain a human form, human birth. As soon as you get a human birth, things change. The karmic rules come into play. The whole system is very organized, very detailed, very fair. It's been running for a long time, so there are no bugs in the program. Every living entity you see has landed up in the body they have by this process, including ourselves, of course. And as we work our way through this life, our next life is being put together for us as we go, so that at the time of death, we are transferred through the agencies of material nature to all that awaits us. So, what happens at the point of death? Krishna says, whoever at the time of death quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. This is 8.5. Very rare soul, of course. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So remembering him, we go to Krishna. But he also mentions, whatever state one does remember, that's what you're going to attain. Now, death can be extremely painful. The dying person experiences a pain that is equivalent to 40,000 scorpions biting simultaneously. So we might think, okay, you know what? I'm going to enjoy until I die. Just before I die, I'll completely surrender myself to God. But it doesn't quite work that way, because even at the point of death, there's so much pain. We won't have a chance to remember the Lord. Death is the final exam. So to make this end sweet and less painful, one must prepare for the final exam throughout one's life. There's no point studying for an examination the night before the exam. You're not going to pass. The idea of the education system is it trains you, it prepares you, become prepared, prepares you, and it prepares you for the examination. This is what this life is all about. Get ready for the exam. Be prepared. Become prepared. What happens in what sequence when the soul is leaving the human body? There is no exact way for all. It just depends. How and when a person will leave his body and where he will go depends mainly on his guna and karma, his qualities, his consciousness, his karma, his desires, joined with interventions or by others through blessings, prayers, rites, and etc. Generally, there are three types of categories of people. Those that are devotees of God, they go back to Vaikuntha because they remember God at the time of death. Those who do good karma, they go to heaven. Those who do pious deeds but are inclined to do deeds that are not good for them, and they go to hell. Well, there's a lot depends on the balance between the pious deeds and the impious deeds. Generally, one suffers the impious deeds, goes to hell, and then you have the opportunity to enjoy the deeds of the pious deeds, karma. In the Garuda Purana, there are many chapters on different types of impious acts and the appropriate actions or reactions to those impious acts. One sees all of his life flash before him and he dies remembering what is most dear to him. If a person is very attached to this body, he may remain in a coma for some time, trying to postpone his exit. Several days, hours before death, the person enters the terminal phase. Often it has a form of terminal restlessness, a medicinal term. He may see his dead ancestors and friends, as well as specific ativa hika, escorting devatas. He may communicate with them, which the hospital staff and relatives present there usually consider delusion. The body then gradually turns cold, starting from extremities. This is due to the detachment of the prana and the subtle senses, parts of the subtle body, from the gross body. So the detachment starts. So this is in the Chandogya Upanishad or the Vedanta Sutra. The mental symptoms is a strong loss of interest in life, a dull outlook on life and the world, the disappearance of the taste. All the close people seem very distant, a feeling of inevitability of something, a desire to repent all the sins, the feeling of eternity. So these are mental symptoms that will come towards the end of one's life. What are the physical symptoms? The bones become prominent as the flesh as well as eyes start to sink in. The nose becomes thinner and sharper. The look becomes absent. Facial gestures disappear. The body becomes unfamiliar and wooden. So these are physical symptoms one can go through. The person refuses food and then also drink. If there are pets, especially cats and dogs, they start to behave unusually. They can sense something's going on. They have that sixth sense. If one dies without rectifying all one's pious acts before dying, then one suffers more after death, before going to Yamaraj, the Lord of Death. Therefore, the husband and the wife are recommended to take vanaprastha, semi-retired life, go to religious places and feed Brahmins, Gomatas, the poor, etc., to reduce their impious karma before dying. Nowadays, people don't believe in this, as they don't believe that the soul suffers after death. So they want to enjoy as much as possible. The idea is to look after the body, only let the body enjoy. So that's a bit like the cage, in the bird in the cage. You look after the cage, but you forget the bird, to feed the bird's going to die. So if we don't feed the soul, we don't feed our Atma with spiritual knowledge, we're going to struggle. The exit of the soul itself happens through one of the 9 bodily openings, gates, as per one's karma and destination. This is chapter 14, text 18 of Bhagavad Gita. Those who are impious leave the body from the bottom gates. Those who are pious leave the body from the 7. Hang on. So it must be 2. The 2 bottom gates, and then you have the 7 higher gates. That's right. One who departs from the anus genitals goes to the lower regions, wherein one who departs from the upper portion of the body goes to the higher regions. Those who depart from the top of the skull, from the hole known as the Brahma Randhara, the place where 3 bones in the skull meet, will attain the regions of Brahman. If a person is impious and sinful, the messengers of Yamraj, called Yamadutas, approach. Their characteristics are as follows. They're fierce, horrible-looking persons with twisted features, copper-red flaming hairs stand on end, black in complexion, frightening to behold. They appear at the deathbed of the person in question, drag him forcibly from his body with ropes and chains. So this is what happened actually to Ajamil. These Yamadutas were present, about to snatch him from his body. When the Yamadutas are pulling the soul at that time, the person is unable to speak. You can see a scared expression on his face. The scene so frightens the person that he literally dies out of fright. So there you go, stories of Yamraj. Yamadutas. Ajamil, we talked about very briefly. I was thinking. If devotees don't mind, we'll continue with this tomorrow. Yeah. let's do part 2 tomorrow. So we've done the first part, which is a bit of a journey up to the Yamadutas, and then we'll just carry on with that tomorrow. We'd start with the story of Ajamil. Any questions, any comments up to now? So let's stop there, and then we can.
What is the duty now? Our duty. How we prepare for that? Going all.
Well, you're doing it, serving the Lord, chanting, in order so that we connect with the Supreme. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. That's.
You mean our duty now to ourselves or to others?
No, ourselves.
Okay. Yeah. The more we can engage in bhakti, especially like yourself, because you are, sort of at an advanced stage. No, not very advanced.
No.
Retired stage. That's right. Retired. Yeah. Thank you. So at a retired stage, then spending more and more time in bhakti is actually very, very good, very beneficial. Because then you know your consciousness, your desires are all now lining up with Krishna's, and that's key, because you're linking with the Supreme. So that's very powerful indeed. You're very fortunate because you're timing it perfectly. You've done your hard work, and now you can spend more time chanting, reading, listening to lectures, kirtan, puja, worship, and which you are doing at the temple, which is fantastic. And you enjoy you're enjoying the seva?
Yeah, very nice. Very. I enjoy. Not only enjoy, its environment is different. When you go there, seva, and this is a different, peaceful. Yes, automatically come. So
Automatically come.
Real.
Yeah. The atmosphere is fantastic. Yeah. No, very good, very good. So you're definitely on the right track.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Huh? Thank you, sir. Yes,
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You said one word which was like when the death comes, there is like 40,000 dung.
Yeah, biting
of a Scorpio. You feel it that the death is nearer, but you will still won't know that death is nearer. And I mean, to be honest with you, these are, as you said it on the notes, so I heard it. And I can remember that my mother used to say that when person is going to die, I mean, I don't know, but these older people, they used to say the same thing. Sometimes they know 40 days before that the death is coming nearer to them. Is this right?
Yes, there will be, some people can perceive it, that my time is come. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And like doing those bad things, like bad karmas. And that's the reason they said that when the Yamraja come, then these things happen to you. But we want to do a good karma and make our death come clearer, that we won't have those sort of things happen to our body. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
We don't want it. I say, as a we want to be more into spiritual world, cooking good things and this. That's it. Be nice. We just don't want that thing to happen to us. Sometimes we think that we want to die in our sleep. but only some people can happen, but not all of them.
But actually, it's not a good thing to die in one sleep. If
Why
one
is that?
goes, because we don't know what one is thinking at that time. If you're conscious and you die, you know what you're thinking. And we want to be thinking about God when we die. Because Krishna explains that whoever is thinking of me at the time of death will come to me. So, hey, we
Yeah.
don't die in our sleep. We want to die fully conscious. Fully conscious, like
And you
Bhishma.
said,
Bhishma was
yeah,
said to Krishna, please stand in front of me. I want to
yes,
see you and go.
yeah.
Right,
And he
that's
was on those arrows bed,
yeah.
1,000 arrows bed.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something earlier about this. You showed us 6 pictures of different people. That person was eating the meat, then he comes in other life like lion, and then the person who was sleeping too much, he comes in other life. Was it a bear?
Yes.
The one who sleeping.
Yes, that's right.
So yeah, and I was thinking, like, when you doing these karmas in your life, then the next life comes, it comes to you the same thing.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, so it's
That's
just
right. It'll
it's
come back.
nice, it's interesting. It's
Yeah, it'll come back.
interesting, very interesting.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
And at present the Sraddha are going, so
Shad's going, yes, that's why we're doing this. This is part 1. Tomorrow we
yeah.
do part 2. Okay.
Yeah, I have missed 3 days program.
No,
Yesterday I went to put flowers at Buckingham Palace.
oh, wonderful, wonderful. Wow.
Yeah, I did go. I tried, and I went with my friend. It was 1 3/4 of 1 hour walking. Sorry, the queue.
Wow.
Queue.
Wow.
But we done it, and then we come back. I'm pleased I done it. I can't go to see her now. They're going to put her. They're bringing her London today, and they go. I think there is a church. They're going to put it there, and then 4 days or 5 days they will allow public to go and do the darshan.
Wow.
It's good, but I don't think I'll be able to go.
Wow.
Anyway, we just pray for her.
Yeah,
God
that's
rest
will
her
help.
soul in peace.
It will help her. Any prayers will help her. Because what happens is the royalty, it's actually a very, it's a knife's edge, you know, it's like they get 1/6 of the bad karma of the citizens, and they get 1/6 of the good karma. So if the citizens are bad, they get a share of their bad karma. So it's quite heavy, you know. That's why it's, yes, some people think, yeah, it's great to be a king or a queen, but actually
It is not.
No, the next life is not so good.
No good, no good. Anyway, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much.
We can on this subject we can talk and talk and talk. It will never end.
Yeah, yeah.
But
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'll close my thing.
Yes, I'll let me close this side as well. So, Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai.